In today's society, there are basic assumptions about women in Islam. Are Islamic cultures fundamentally oppressive to women? Is the trend among Islamic women to appear once again in veils and other traditional clothing a symbol of regression, or an effort to return to a pure Islam that was once just and fair to both sexes? In Women and Gender in Islam, Historical Roots of a Modern Debate, Leila Ahmed adds a fresh perspective to the existing debate about women in Islam by exploring its historical roots, tracing the developments in Islamic discourses on women and gender from the ancient world to the present. Ahmed separates her book into 3 parts. Part 1 outlines the practices and concepts relating to gender in some model societies of the region antecedent to the rise of Islam. Judaism, Christianity, and Zoroastrianism were the prevailing religions in the Byzantine and Sasanian empires at the time of the rise of Islam. These religions, reaffirmed by Islam, included the worship of a god referred to by a male pronoun, and endorsed the patriarchal family and female subordination as key components of their socio-religious vision. Islam discreetly affiliated itself with the traditions already in place in the region. For example, the adoption of the veil by Muslim women occurred by assimilation. The veil was in use in Sasanian society, and segregation of the sexes and use of the veil were heavily in evidence in the Christian Middle East and Mediterranean regions at the time of the rise of Islam. During Muhammad's lifetime, and only toward the end of that, his wives were the only Muslim women required to veil. After his death and following the Muslim conquest of the adjoining territories, where upper-class women veiled, the veil became a commonplace item of clothing among Muslim upper-class women. It is clear, however, that conceptions, assumptions, and social customs relating to women and to the social meaning of gender that derive from the traditions in place in the Middle East and the time of the Islamic conquests help shape the very foundations of Islamic concepts and social practice as they developed during the first centuries of Islam. All these facts emphasize the importance of considering Islamic formulations of gender in relation to the changing codes and practices in the broader Middle East. Part 2 deals with Arabia at the time of the rise of Islam, tracing changes that occurred when Islam was founded and changes that accompanied its spread to the wider Middle East. It then explores the conceptual and social organizations pertaining to women and gender in Iraqi society in the Classical Age, the region and period that witnessed the expansion of the strict core of Islamic discourses on women. The section concludes with an overview of significant features of the socio-economic expression of the classical Islam system of gender and their consequences for the lives of women in some subsequent societies in pre-modern times. The societies examined are mainly those of Egypt and Turkey. Part 3 first describes the progress of the social change for women over the course of the 19th century and traces the impact of those changes on women and on the ideas about women. It next analyzes the eruption in the late 19th or early 20th century of the first major debate on women and the veil in the Arab world and the emergence of a new discourse on women, in which the issues of culture and class and imperialism and nationalism become critically entangled with the issue of women. The focus of Part 3 is primarily on Egypt. Egypt was the first Middle Eastern Arab country to experience the consequences of European commercial expansion and to experiment socially, intellectually, politically, and culturally with a range of ideas that have proved to be of significance in the modern era, not only for Egypt itself, but for Arab societies as a whole. As the first region in the Arab world to experiment with the social change for women, Egypt played and continues to play a central role in developing the key Arab discourses on women, while developments within Egypt with respect to women continue to parallel, reflect, and sometimes anticipate developments in other Arab countries. The last few chapters of Part 3 trace the impact on women of the socio-economic changes that have occurred over the course of the 20th century, and then follow out the appearance and evolution of feminist discourses. It concludes with an account of the social background to the return of the veil and an analysis of the social and intellectual grounds informing the different perspectives on Islamism and Islamic dress, and an analysis, too, on the divisions between feminist women and the women adopting Islamic dress. Of course, differences of class, ethnicity, and local culture critically qualify the experiences of women and give specificity to the particular ways in which they are affected by the broad discourses on gender within their societies. That being said, immense challenges present themselves when people want to build dialogue upon women and Islam, according to Ambassador Salama Shaker. Western feminist dialogue may not always match or fit with the Muslim societies. As much as dialogue is needed, it has to match the religious and cultural ideas of different societies, with an understanding of the importance of the heritage and pride of Muslim women and men alike. Furthermore, as mentioned by Huma Mohabullah and Christy Kramer in their article, Being True to Ourselves Within the Context of Islam, Focusing aspects such as ambivalence, contradictions, and change prevents a reductive view of women who wear a veil that defines them as solely products of Islam, and ignores the various pragmatic considerations, emotions, personal experiences, and religious interpretations that go into their decisions to cover. For both its physical appearance and its symbolic value, the veil carries no single meaning. Instead, it conveys a multiplicity of ideals, desires, and expressions which are diverse as the women who wear it.